Okay, so see if you can dig it, boys. I'm never quite satisfied with explanations that I tender in the past, so I'm always trying to constantly look for an enhancement. Yes, we are revisiting Coil on plug theory of operation, and more function than anything else in this particular quick video, because it is going to be quick. I'll refer you back to all the other ones for theory of operation of the circuit itself, but this is just hopefully a graphic demonstration of how the system actually functions. So just a frame behind the Vantage here, boys, is just a small 12-volt battery that's actually providing the power for this circuit, this little bench test setup. 12 volts. Very crudely is a little voltage divider, a couple of resistors twisted together. This is a very janky setup. Workmanship is not the intention of this video, boys, at all. It's a mess. It's just theory of operation. The small signal generator, yes, the one Dave Sturl has featured some time ago. I've got to show you the card. It's awesome. Here we go. Look at this. Can you imagine actually printing that on your business card? www.dorking.com. Jesus Christ, there's a website you want to think twice about before you go on, eh? Anyway, back to the circuit. Small signal generator. I've got it supplied with the 12 volts. Basically, this signal generator allows you to vary frequency and pulse width modulation of the output signal, right? So we're going to use this to trigger our coil on plug assembly. You might remember the scratch test and some other various videos that I've done, but we're going to use this in lieu of our engine control module to generate a near 5-volt trigger pulse. That's what the little voltage divider is all about. It's quite crude, but it's functional. And I've got the old school Vantage just because I like to feature different tools in the different videos, boys. Some guys were asking, why didn't you use this? Why didn't you use that? Because different guys like different tools, and I still like the old school Vantage. Yes, it's nowhere near as good as the newer Pico and whatnot, but it's still kind of nice to see a different generation tool. And so I'm just going to hook it up. There's a couple of interesting things that you can actually see. So let me dim the light here. Let me turn the light off here. Hopefully you can still see the screen okay. I think you can see it okay. And I will just put behind the Vantage. I just have an alligator clip going in the battery here. You'll hear the spark before you can actually see it. So I'm hoping you can see the screen there, boys. Can you see the screen? I'm hoping you can see it. I've got 5 hertz signal output at 15% duty cycle. And I hope you can see the plug. You see it? I think so. You can certainly hear it. It's sparking away. So our coil assembly has the 12 volts supply, of course, a ground, and the little signal generator is actually applying a 5 hertz signal. And I'll slow it down just to prove the point. Let's go to 1 a second, 1 hertz. You dig? Okay, so let's step on the gas. $20 hertz. I think you can see the plug firing away quite nicely there, right? So, okay, that all makes sense. And you can see that, by the way, I should have explained, on the Vantage is actually the trigger pulse as well, boys. I've just tied into the trigger going at the coil, and the trigger is being monitored via the Vantage. So let me slow that down a wee bit. It's a wee bit annoying to listen to that in the background. Maybe 5 hertz is reasonable. You can still see it, I think. And you can see the pulses on the Vantage. All makes sense? So interesting. Listen to the intensity of the spark as I step the duty cycle down. It was at 15%. I don't know if you noticed the difference in intensity on the soundtrack. That's 1%. So essentially the duty cycle, the width as you can see on screen here, If you watch, I'll step up the duty cycle. You'll see how wide the pulses get. There you go, that's 20%. But I don't know if you noticed, there is a difference in the intensity of the spark as well, because the dwell time of the coil is actually a function of the duty cycle. That's why it makes sense, of course, when I go to 0%, nothing's happening, right? And the same actually happens on the far end, although it's not going to be good for the coil. I'll make the point, there's 100%. That's 99%. So there's no significant difference, but there is a difference. So let's keep it something reasonable. 5% seems, well, maybe a wee bit wider so you can see it on the screen. There you go. You can see the pulses on the screen, I hope. Oh, I'll cut this back in. I should mention, you want to keep the duty cycle quite low for the simple reason, boys, this will actually start making heat if the dwell time is excessively high. So you want to keep it quite low in order to keep it within a reasonable operating temperature of the coil itself. So anyway, that's it. Hopefully that makes some sense, boys. The little signal generator is just triggering the coil. The little voltage divider is just to take the 12 volt supply, basically cut it in halves, because the coil works on a 5 volt trigger signal. I'm just using that as a dropping resistor to get somewhere near 5 volts on the screen here. You can actually make it out. It's around 6 volts-ish. It's close enough with the resistors I had on hand. And yeah, that's it. So let's give her some beans here. And we'll call it a day. So there's 60 hertz. You see the plug firing away there, boys? I hope you can. Can you see the plug? Let me put this behind. Oh, we lost our power supply to our coil here. Let me connect it up again. There we go. Let me take you on handheld here so you can see it. There's the plug firing away there, boys, as you can see. I'll give you a better view of this. 60 hertz. So I guess that would be, what, 120 RPM. So you can see the plug is just going hell-bent for leather, even at really, really low RPM. I mean, if you were going this RPM, you'd be stalling the car. Maybe starting it at best, right? 120 RPM. And you can see the duty cycle there. So let me step the duty cycle down a wee bit. I think you can hear the change in the tone. You can actually see the change in intensity as well, I think. You can definitely hear it there. That's 1%, 2%. And that's 15%. Slow the frequency down. That's 15 hertz, boys. Let me go with 1. Yeah, so there you go. Dirt cheap, a couple of bucks on Amazon, and you can cobble yourself. As I said, workmanship was not the intention of this video, and you can cobble yourself together something that's kind of interesting. If you like this kind of rubbish, right? Five hertz, and I'll just bring the duty cycle up a bit so you can see the pulses widen. Yeah, so there you go. No mathematics. Well, some numbers, but I wouldn't call it mathematics. And hopefully that go across the concept of the coil on plug, how it's triggered, what effects it's triggering, and yeah, simple, easy, straightforward. Now keep in mind, boys, This obviously is not under in-cylinder pressure. So if you had this set up as a bench test setup, because there's no pressure exerting itself on the test rig, what is firing on the bench may not fire when it's subjected to in-cylinder pressures, right? I should have mentioned that in my last piece. Right, that's it. We'll call it a day. That's 10 minutes. Cheers, boys.